First Contact's mockery. The grand conclave of the unified systems buzzed with barely contained laughter. High Ambassador Zixtal of the Meridian Empire adjusted his crystalline ceremonial collar, mandibles twitching with amusement as he watched the human delegation enter the vast chamber. The annual technology showcase was meant to evaluate emerging species for inclusion in galactic trade networks. Instead, it had become something of a comedy show. "And now," announced the Protocol Master, their voice echoing through the crystalline dome, "we welcome the representatives of Sol System, designation Earth." Dr. Sarah Chen strode forward, her simple blue uniform a stark contrast to the ornate biomechanical suits and quantum-threaded robes surrounding her. Behind her walked Commander James Rodriguez, their military attaché, carrying what appeared to be nothing more complicated than a metal briefcase. "Primitive materials," whispered one of the Arcturus delegates, their bioluminescent tendrils flashing in patterns of derision. "Are they even aware of quantum crystalline composites?" Ambassador Zixtal raised a primary appendage for silence, though his secondary eyes still sparkled with mirth. "Please, Earth delegation, show us your achievements." Dr. Chen activated a holographic display, using technology that had been outdated in the greater galaxy for at least 3 centuries. The assembled delegates exchanged knowing looks as she began her presentation. "The Earth United Space Force has developed what we call the Adaptive Defense Grid," Chen explained, bringing up images of what appeared to be a simple metal mesh surrounding their ships. "It's designed to—" "Excuse me," interrupted Council Member Frenthar, his photosynthetic crown pulsing with barely contained hilarity. "Are you suggesting you still use metallic alloys for your defensive systems? Not even basic plasma shielding?" Commander Rodriguez stepped forward, his jaw tight but voice steady. "If you'd allow Dr. Chen to finish." "We've seen enough," declared Ambassador Zixtal, rising to his full height. "This is meant to be a serious forum for technological exchange. Earth clearly remains in its technological infancy, perhaps in another century or 2. A sudden alarm cut through the chamber. The emergency communication array burst to life, showing a massive Drachnid warship, one of the most advanced predatory species in the galaxy, approaching the conclave station. "Security breach," announced the automated system. "Hostile vessel has bypassed all quantum barriers. Weapons systems detecting." The image shifted to show the Drachnid ship charging its main cannon, a weapon capable of reducing the station to atomic particles. The assembled delegates erupted in panic, their various translators creating a cacophony of terrified voices. Dr. Chen calmly opened Rodriguez's briefcase. "Perhaps," she said, removing what looked like a simple silver sphere, "you'd like to see our defense system in action after all." Before anyone could stop her, she activated the device. The sphere floated upward, emitting what appeared to be a simple metal mesh that expanded rapidly, surrounding the entire station in seconds. Ambassador Zixtal's primary eyes widened in horror. "You'll kill us all. That primitive barrier won't even slow down a Drachnid particle beam." The Drachnid ship fired. The assembled delegates watched in horrified fascination as the devastating beam struck Chen's metal mesh and simply vanished. No explosion, no destruction. The energy was simply gone. "Impossible," whispered Vrenthar, his crown now pale with shock. "The adaptive defense grid," Chen continued, as if she hadn't been interrupted earlier, "doesn't try to block or deflect energy weapons. It adapts to their frequency and converts the energy into fuel for its own operation. The more powerful the weapon, the stronger our defense becomes." Rodriguez stepped forward, allowing himself a small smile. "We discovered that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. While the galaxy raced to build stronger and stronger energy shields, we took a different approach. Sometimes what looks primitive is simply elegant." The chamber fell silent as the Drachnid ship, realizing its primary weapon was useless, turned and fled. Ambassador Zixtal's mandibles worked silently for a moment before he found his voice. "It seems," he said carefully, "we may have been hasty in our assessment of Earth's technological achievements. Chen packed away the control sphere, her movements unhurried. We understand. Humanity has learned that appearance and reality often differ. We're used to being underestimated. She paused, looking around the chamber. Though I should mention, that was just one of our primitive innovations. Would you like to see what else we've been working on? The chamber, so recently filled with laughter, now hung on her every word. Sometimes, Chen reflected, the best way to make a point was to let others learn it for themselves. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not with a bang, but with a whisper that would echo through the cosmos. Project Phoenix. Admiral Kara Patel stood at the observation deck of Luna Base, watching Earth's prototype fleet gleam under the stars. To any alien observer, the ships would look like they'd been cobbled together from scrap, their hulls a patchwork of different metals, their designs lacking the sleek uniformity of galactic standard vessels. That was exactly the point. Status report, she commanded, not turning from the window. Dr. Marcus Webb, chief engineer of Project Phoenix, pulled up his holographic display. The Drachnid incident at the Conclave has them scrambling. Our monitoring posts have detected increased surveillance at the edge of our system. They're trying to figure out how we did it. Let them look, Kara smiled. Everything they see will only reinforce their assumptions. The fleet below was humanity's greatest deception. Vessels deliberately designed to look unremarkable, even primitive. But beneath their modest exterior lay innovations that would reshape galactic warfare. Ma'am, her aide interrupted. Priority message from the Meridian Empire. There, requesting a technology exchange. Kara finally turned, her dark eyes glinting. Denied. Politely, of course. Cite our developmental status as the reason. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You know they'll take that as confirmation of their superiority complex. Exactly. The longer they underestimate us, the better. She brought up a tactical display showing the positions of various alien observation posts. How's the Lazarus Protocol coming along? Marcus's face lit up with pride. Ready for field testing. The aliens think our ships are powered by crude fusion reactors. They have no idea we've developed quantum entanglement drives that don't even register on their sensors. When we activate the Lazarus Protocol. He trailed off as alarms suddenly blared throughout the base. A tactical officer burst into the room. Admiral, 3 Drachnid warships just emerged from FTL at the edge of the system. They're demanding we turn over our defense technology or face immediate destruction. Kara's expression hardened. Seems they didn't learn their lesson at the Conclave. Status of Phoenix Squadron. Ready for deployment, ma'am. Though, Marcus hesitated. We haven't field-tested all systems under combat conditions. No better time than now. She opened a channel to the fleet. Phoenix Squadron, initiate launch sequence. Operational parameters. Defensive pattern echo. Let's show them what primitive technology can do. Below, the seemingly patchwork fleet came to life. Their mismatched hulls began to shift and reconfigure, panels sliding and interlocking in ways that defied conventional engineering. What had looked like random pieces of scrap metal transformed into an integrated defense network. The Drachnid ships opened fire, their quantum-tipped missiles streaking across space. To their sensors, Earth's vessels were practically defenseless, protected only by thin metal shells. Lazarus Protocol. Activate, Kara commanded. The missiles struck and passed straight through the Earth ships as if they weren't there. The Drachnid vessel's sensors went haywire, unable to get a lock on targets that seemed to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. You see, Marcus explained to the stunned tactical officer, while they were perfecting ways to make their weapons more powerful, we developed a way to make our ships exist partially out of phase with normal spacetime. Can't hit what isn't fully there. The Earth fleet's response was devastating in its simplicity. No massive energy weapons, no overwhelming firepower. Instead, precisely calculated bursts from their primitive railguns passed through the Drachnid's advanced shields. Shields designed to stop energy weapons, not simple kinetic projectiles. Within minutes, the mighty Drachnid warships were disabled, their crews watching in disbelief as their most advanced weapons proved useless against technology they had dismissed as obsolete. "Send a message to the Drachnid fleet," Kara ordered. "Remind them that humanity appreciates peaceful diplomatic relations, and perhaps mention that what they've seen today is only a fraction of our capabilities." As the disabled Drachnid ships limped away, Marcus reviewed the battle data. "They still don't understand, do they? They're so focused on advancing existing technologies that they never consider completely new approaches." "That's humanity's greatest strength," Kara replied. "We don't just think outside the box. We question whether we need the box at all." She turned back to the window, watching her fleet return to its deceptively humble appearance. "And as long as they keep underestimating us, we'll keep surprising them." The stars twinkled silently, bearing witness to a shift in the galaxy's balance of power, not with a grand declaration or show of force, but with the quiet revelation that humanity's greatest weapon was its ability to innovate in ways the galaxy had never imagined. The silent revolution. The Galactic Security Council's emergency session was anything but orderly. Representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations argued across the crystalline chamber, their universal translators struggling to keep up with the cacophony of accusations and demands. High Counselor Tulara of the Arcturus Collective tapped her neural interface, projecting the latest intelligence reports for all to see. 3 months since the Drachnid incident, and we still cannot explain how the humans defeated our most advanced scanning technology. Their vessels appear to violate fundamental laws of physics. "That's impossible," growled Ambassador Kex of the Silicon Mines, his robotic form humming with agitation. "We've analyzed their technological development curve. They were still using chemical rockets less than 2 centuries ago." In the shadows of the chamber's upper tier, Dr. Maya Patel, humanity's newly appointed science liaison, sat quietly, recording everything. Unlike the ornate biomechanical suits and quantum interfaces worn by other species, she carried only a simple tablet and wore a standard Earth uniform. Several delegates had already commented on her quaint appearance. "Perhaps," she finally spoke, her voice cutting through the chaos, "you're all asking the wrong questions." The chamber fell silent as every alien eye, sensor, and consciousness focused on her. Maya stood, activating her tablet's holographic display. It showed Earth's latest primitive invention, the quantum echo drive. "You see failure where we see opportunity," she continued. "When our first FTL experiments failed to breach light speed, we didn't keep trying the same approach with more power. We asked, what if we don't need to go faster than light at all?" The hologram showed a simple Earth ship seemingly flickering in and out of existence. "The quantum echo drive doesn't move through space. It creates quantum duplicates of itself along its intended path, each existing for a fraction of a second before the next takes its place. The original ship simply steps into the position of the final echo. No FTL travel required." Ambassador Kex's processors whirred in obvious distress. But the energy requirements alone would be astronomical using conventional methods," Maya agreed. "So we don't use conventional methods. We harvest quantum potential energy from parallel universes where the ship didn't make the jump. Basic conservation of energy, just applied across multiple dimensions." The Silicon Mines ambassador actually sparked in shock. That's primitive," Maya suggested with a slight smile. "Like our simple metal ships." High Counselor Tilara leaned forward, her bioluminescent patterns showing intense interest. "Your species continues to confound us, Dr. Patel. You develop technologies that shouldn't be possible, yet you present them as if they were obvious solutions. Because to us, they are." Maya brought up another display, this one showing Earth's global education system. "While the galaxy's finest minds focused on perfecting existing technologies, we taught our children to question everything. Our scientists ask why not, instead of why. Our engineers look for elegant solutions rather than powerful ones." The chamber erupted again, but this time with urgent discussions rather than accusations. Maya could hear phrases like complete reevaluation needed and paradigm shift being thrown around. A soft chime indicated an incoming priority message. Maya checked her tablet and fought to keep her expression neutral. Right on schedule. Counselors, she announced, I just received word that an unknown entity has breached the quantum barriers around the Centauri colonies. She paused for effect. Would you like to see another example of human innovation in action? The security feeds showed a massive void ship, a mysterious vessel of unknown origin that had been terrorizing the outer systems of multiple species. It hung in space like a tear in reality, its surface absorbing all light and energy. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, 3 primitive Earth ships appeared. They looked like they belonged in a museum compared to the void ship's advanced technology. The alien delegates watched, transfixed, as the Earth vessels deployed what appeared to be simple metallic nets into space. What you're watching, Maya explained calmly, is our resonance web in action. Those primitive metal strands are actually quantum-entangled filaments that exist in perfect harmony with the natural frequency of space-time itself. The void ship fired its main weapon, a beam of pure darkness that should have annihilated everything in its path. Instead, the moment it touched the resonance web, the entire structure began to glow with an inner light. You see, Maya continued, we discovered that space-time itself has a song. All we had to do was learn to sing along. The web's glow intensified, and suddenly the void ship found itself enclosed in a sphere of pure resonant energy. Its surface, designed to absorb all forms of energy, couldn't handle the fundamental frequency of reality itself. The mighty vessel began to break apart, not with a massive explosion, but with a gentle chiming sound, like crystal bells in the wind. Sometimes, Maya concluded as the void ship dissolved completely, the most powerful solution is also the most harmonious one. The chamber was absolutely silent now. High Counselor Tellura's bioluminescence had shifted to patterns indicating deep respect, and perhaps a touch of fear. Dr. Patel, she said finally, I believe the Council needs to seriously reconsider humanity's position in the galactic community. Would your government be open to sharing some of your insights? Maya smiled. We've always been open to sharing, Counselor. The real question is, are you ready to learn? As the council chambers erupted into excited discussion, Maya sent a quick message back to Earth. Phase 3 complete. They're finally asking the right questions. The galaxy was about to learn that true innovation doesn't come from building bigger weapons or stronger shields. It comes from daring to think differently. Something humanity had perfected over millennia of looking up at the stars and asking, what if? The Great Awakening. The Galactic Institute of Higher Learning had stood unchanged for 10,000 years. Its quantum crystal spires housed the collective knowledge of 17 civilizations, its halls walked by the greatest minds in known space. Today, those halls were in chaos. Professor Zenaval, a third-generation synthetic being from the Silicon mines, found herself surrounded by an unlikely group, a meridian crystalline entity, 2 organic Arcturus scholars, and a human named Dr. Thomas Chen. They huddled over what looked like a child's toy, a simple wooden puzzle box. Impossible, Zena stated, her optical sensors recalibrating. The solution cannot be this basic. Thomas smiled, turning the puzzle box in his hands. The Gordian knot principle. Sometimes the simplest answer is to change the question entirely. The puzzle box was humanity's latest contribution to galactic science, a teaching tool that had thrown the Institute into an uproar. It appeared primitive, made of earthwood and basic mechanical parts, but it had proven unsolvable by the most advanced AI systems in the galaxy. But it violates established paradigms, protested Kittel, the crystalline meridian scholar. Your solution suggests that quantum uncertainty can be guided by intention. Exactly. Thomas placed the box on the table. You've all been trying to solve it using pure logic or advanced computation. But this puzzle requires something else: intuition, the ability to see patterns that shouldn't exist, to make connections that defy conventional reasoning. The box suddenly glowed with an inner light, its wooden surfaces revealing complex quantum equations that shifted and changed based on the observer's thoughts. It was both primitive and impossibly advanced, a perfect metaphor for humanity's approach to science. Across the institute, similar scenes were playing out. Human instructors, dressed in their characteristically simple uniforms, were teaching alien students to unlearn millennia of rigid thinking. The galaxy's brightest minds were discovering that true innovation required more than just advancing existing technology. It required imagination. In the Institute's central amphitheater, Admiral Karapatil, now Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, addressed a packed audience. "For too long," she began, "the galaxy has moved in one direction, always forward, always seeking to make existing technologies more powerful, more efficient. But humanity took a different path. We looked sideways. We looked back. We questioned everything." She gestured to a holographic display showing Earth's latest breakthrough, the Harmony Grid. It appeared as a simple network of interconnected nodes, each made from basic materials found on every inhabited world. "This network," she continued, "doesn't try to overpower natural forces. It works with them. Each node resonates with the quantum frequency of its local spacetime, creating a web of synchronized consciousness across the galaxy. It's not about dominating nature. It's about dancing with it." The audience watched in amazement as the Harmony Grid activated. Suddenly, every being in the room could feel the subtle quantum connections that had always existed between all things. It was like gaining a new sense, one that had always been there but never noticed. In the back of the amphitheater, a young Drachnid student raised her hand. "But this changes everything. Our entire understanding of reality." "Exactly," Kara smiled. "And that's just the beginning." The implications were staggering. The Harmony Grid didn't just revolutionize communication or transportation. It transformed how species understood their place in the universe. Races that had been locked in millennia-old conflicts found themselves capable of truly understanding each other's perspectives. The grid didn't force peace, it simply made empathy possible on a quantum level. Back in the study room, Thomas watched as his alien colleagues finally began to grasp the true lesson of the puzzle box. It wasn't about finding the right answer. It was about learning to ask new questions. "You see," he explained, "humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to look at the same stars everyone else sees and imagine something different. We turn limitations into opportunities. We find harmony where others see only conflict." Zenaval's optical sensors flickered as she processed this. "Is that why your ships look so unfinished? They're not primitive at all. They're adaptable." "They're both," Thomas grinned. "And neither. Like the puzzle box, they're exactly what we need them to be, nothing more and nothing less." As the day drew to a close, news spread throughout the Institute of yet another human innovation. This time, it wasn't a weapon or a shield or even a communication device. It was a simple method for teaching young minds to see beyond the obvious, to question assumptions, to imagine the impossible. The galaxy was learning that the most powerful force wasn't technology at all. It was the ability to think in new ways. And humanity, the species that had been dismissed as primitive just months ago, was leading this intellectual revolution not through force or superiority, but through the simple act of asking what if. In her private quarters, Admiral Patel received a message from Earth: Phase 4 complete. The transformation has begun. She looked out at the quantum crystal spires of the Institute, now humming with new possibilities, and smiled. Sometimes the greatest victories come not from showing strength, but from teaching others to find their own. A new dawn. The grand archive of the unified galaxy, once a testament to rigid technological progression, had transformed. Its crystalline halls now housed examples of innovation from 1,000 worlds, each telling a story not of power, but of imagination. At its center stood the most visited exhibit, a simple Earth vessel, its primitive hull bearing the scars of the first drachnid encounter. Beside it, a holographic display showed readings that still defied conventional scientific understanding. Supreme Coordinator Vallex, representing the combined leadership of all spacefaring species, stood before an unprecedented gathering. Representatives from every known civilization filled the archive's grand chamber, their differences in technology and biology now seeming less important than their shared curiosity. A century ago, Vallex began, their multifaceted voice resonating through the chamber. We thought we understood the path of progress. We measured advancement by the power of our weapons, the strength of our shields, the speed of our ships. Then humanity showed us a different way. Dr. Sarah Chen, now significantly older but still wearing Earth's characteristically simple uniform, stood quietly at the back of the chamber. She remembered that first meeting, when alien delegates had laughed at Earth's primitive technology. Now those same species had embraced humanity's fundamental lesson. True innovation knows no single path. The Harmony Grid, Vallex continued, has grown beyond its creator's dreams. Not because we made it more powerful, but because each species learned to add their own voice to its quantum symphony. The grid's effects were visible throughout the chamber. Species that once couldn't comprehend each other's thought patterns now shared ideas freely. The silicoid crystalline beings resonated with organic neural patterns. Even the enigmatic void dancers, who had once terrorized the galaxy's edges, now contributed their unique understanding of spacetime to the collective knowledge. But humanity's greatest gift wasn't their technology, Vallex emphasized. It was teaching us to question our assumptions, to see limitation as opportunity, to understand that progress isn't always about moving forward. Sometimes it's about moving in entirely new directions. The chamber's display shifted to show the galaxy's recent achievements, ships that worked with spacetime rather than fighting it, communications that transcended physical reality, energy systems that drew power from the quantum harmony of the universe itself. Each innovation bore the marks of multiple species working together, combining their unique perspectives. Admiral Kara Patel, now Earth's senior ambassador, stepped forward to address the gathering. Age had weathered her face, but her eyes still held that characteristic glint of curiosity that defined her species. When we first reached the stars, she began, we were afraid our primitive technology would leave us vulnerable. But we discovered that our greatest strength wasn't in our machines. It was in our ability to imagine solutions that others thought impossible. She gestured to a new display, showing Earth's latest project, the Universal Harmony Initiative. It appeared deceptively simple, a network of ordinary materials arranged in patterns that seemed almost artistic rather than technological. This network, she explained, doesn't seek to control or dominate. It listens to the universe's own rhythms and helps us all dance to its music. Every species adds their own notes to the symphony. The initiative activated, and the chamber filled with a sensation that transcended physical senses. Every being present could feel their connection not just to each other, but to the fabric of reality itself. It wasn't overwhelming or artificial. It felt as natural as breathing. You see, Kara continued, we humans never sought to be the most advanced species. We simply wanted to understand things in our own way. And in doing so, we helped the galaxy remember something it had forgotten. That true progress comes not from perfecting what we know, but from daring to explore what we don't. The effects of humanity's influence were evident throughout galactic society. The old hierarchies based on technological advancement had given way to a new order where innovation and imagination were valued above raw power. Species that had once competed now collaborated, each contributing their unique perspectives to solve universal challenges. As the ceremony concluded, Dr. Chen approached a group of young aliens studying the original Earth ship. One of them, a drachnid youth, turned to her with all four eyes shining. Is it true? The youth asked, That humans knew all along their technology would work. That you planned everything from the beginning. Chen smiled, remembering those early days of uncertainty and hope. No, she replied honestly. We didn't know our solutions would work. We just knew that asking different questions might lead to different answers. And sometimes, that's enough. The gathering dispersed, but the chamber remained alive with the hum of the harmony grid, a testament to what was possible when civilizations learned to value curiosity over certainty, imagination over power, and harmony over dominance. As Chen looked out at the transformed galaxy, she received one final message from Earth Command. Phase 5 complete. The revolution is self-sustaining. She smiled, knowing that humanity's greatest achievement wasn't in proving its superiority, but in helping the galaxy rediscover its capacity for wonder. The stars themselves seemed to twinkle more brightly now, as if responding to the combined imagination of species that had finally learned to look at them with new eyes. The universe, it turned out, had been waiting all along for someone to simply ask, "What if?"